Gentlemen, what you're about to discover will fundamentally shift how you navigate respect in this world. While most men are scrambling for validation, begging for acknowledgement, or worse, demanding respect they haven't earned, the Sigma male operates by an entirely different code. A code so powerful, so transformative, that once you understand it, you'll never see social dynamics the same way again. Here's the brutal truth. Respect isn't given, it's commanded. But not through loud voices, chest thumping, or desperate displays of dominance. The Sigma male understands that true respect flows from an invisible current of authenticity, strategic positioning, and unshakable self-worth that radiates from within. You see, while alpha males fight for the throne and beta males serve whoever sits on it, the Sigma male builds his own kingdom, quietly, methodically, and with such precision that others naturally gravitate toward his energy without him ever having to demand it. This isn't about manipulation or social games. This is about understanding the fundamental laws of human psychology and leveraging them with surgical precision. Today, I'm going to share with you the 8 Sigma rules of respect that no one teaches you. The unspoken codes that separate the wolves from the sheep, the leaders from the followers, the men who command rooms from those who fade into the background. These aren't theoretical concepts pulled from dusty psychology textbooks. These are battle-tested principles that have been refined through real-world application by men who understand that respect is the currency of power. Each rule we'll explore represents a pillar of the Sigma mindset, a way of being that naturally attracts respect without ever having to ask for it. You'll learn why the Sigma male's approach to respect is so devastatingly effective, and more importantly, how you can implement these principles immediately to transform your own social reality. But here's what I need you to understand before we dive in. This journey requires you to abandon everything you think you know about earning respect. It requires you to embrace a level of authenticity that most men are too afraid to access. It demands that you become comfortable with being misunderstood by those who operate from lower frequencies. If you're ready to step into this level of personal power, if you're prepared to command respect through presence rather than performance, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because what you're about to learn will challenge every social programming you've been fed about how a man should behave in this world. This is your invitation to join an elite brotherhood of men who understand that true strength whispers while weakness shouts. Strategic solitude. The first rule that separates Sigma males from the masses is their mastery of strategic solitude. While most men fear being alone, desperately seeking constant validation through social connections, the Sigma male understands that solitude isn't isolation, it's cultivation. This isn't about becoming a hermit or avoiding human contact. This is about recognizing that your relationship with yourself sets the foundation for how others will relate to you. Strategic solitude is the practice of deliberately choosing quality time with yourself to develop unshakable self-awareness, mental clarity, and emotional stability. When you master this principle, you become a man who doesn't need external validation to feel complete. This inner completeness radiates outward, creating a magnetic presence that naturally commands respect. Think about the most respected men in history. Marcus Aurelius writing his meditations in solitude, Tesla working alone in his laboratory, Jobs retreating to find clarity before his greatest innovations. These weren't antisocial men. They were strategically selective about their energy and understood that periods of intentional solitude were essential for developing the depth of character that commands respect. The Sigma male uses solitude as a weapon of mass construction, while others are scattered across social media, desperately posting for likes and validation. You're in your laboratory of self-development, sharpening your mind, clarifying your vision, and building unshakable confidence from within. This creates a stark contrast that others immediately notice. Here's what strategic solitude looks like in practice. You wake up early before the world demands your attention and spend time in reflection, planning, or skill development. You turn off your phone for extended periods, not because you're antisocial, but because you understand that constant connectivity fractures your attention and dilutes your power. You choose a quiet evening of reading, thinking, or creating over mindless social gatherings that add no value to your life. When you show up after periods of strategic solitude, people notice something different about you. There's a depth, a presence, a groundedness that wasn't there before. You're not desperately scanning the room for validation or trying to prove yourself through conversation. You're simply present, and that presence is magnetic. The psychological principle at work here is scarcity and value. When you're not constantly available, when you're selective about your time and energy, people begin to value your presence more. Highly. You become the man others want to be around, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you've developed something rare in today's world, genuine inner substance. But here's the crucial distinction. Strategic solitude isn't about hiding from the world or avoiding challenges. It's about creating space to develop the mental and emotional resources necessary to engage with the world from a position of strength rather than need. When you're grounded in yourself, you don't enter social situations looking for something to take. You enter with something valuable to give. This practice also develops your decision-making abilities. In solitude, away from the opinions and influences of others, you learn to trust your own judgment. You develop an internal compass that doesn't waver based on external circumstances. This unwavering self-trust is immediately apparent to others and naturally commands respect. The Sigma male who has mastered strategic solitude becomes like a deep well. Others are drawn to drink from his wisdom, clarity, and groundedness. He doesn't need to chase relationships or opportunities because he's developed something so valuable that others naturally seek him out. Remember, in a world of constant noise and distraction, the man who can be comfortable in silence, who can think clearly without external input, who can be alone without being lonely, this man possesses a superpower that immediately sets him apart and commands respect. Authentic authority. The second Sigma rule is understanding that authentic authority cannot be faked, borrowed, or demanded. It must be earned through genuine competence and character. While alpha males often rely on positional power or loud displays of dominance, the Sigma male builds authority through mastery, integrity, and consistent excellence. Authentic. Authority stems from deep knowledge, proven results, and unwavering principles. When you speak, people listen not because you're the loudest voice in the room, but because your words carry weight. You've done the work, gained the experience, and developed the expertise that makes your opinions valuable. This means constantly improving yourself, reading, learning, practicing your craft until you become undeniably skilled. When others recognize your competence, they naturally defer to your judgment. You don't need to announce your credentials. Your results speak for themselves. The Sigma male with authentic authority doesn't argue to win. He presents facts and lets truth do the heavy lifting. He doesn't need to put others down to elevate himself because his value is self-evident. This quiet confidence in his own abilities creates a gravitational pull that draws others seeking guidance and wisdom. Practice this by becoming exceptional at something meaningful. Master your profession, develop unique skills, or gain deep knowledge in areas that matter. When your authority comes from genuine competence rather than borrowed titles, it becomes unshakable and naturally commands respect. Silent confidence. The third rule, reveals why the Sigma male's confidence is so devastating. It requires no external validation or verbal announcement. Silent confidence is the quiet assurance that radiates from a man who knows his worth without needing to broadcast it to the world. Most men either lack confidence entirely or overcompensate with loud, performative displays that actually reveal insecurity. The Sigma male operates from a different frequency. His confidence is so internalized, so natural, that it becomes an invisible force field around him. Silent confidence manifests in your posture, your eye contact, your unhurried movements, and your comfortable silence. You don't fill awkward pauses with nervous chatter. You don't seek approval through constant jokes or stories. You simply exist in your own space with such comfort that others feel drawn to that energy. This type of confidence is built through accomplishment, self-acceptance, and emotional mastery. Every challenge you overcome, every goal you achieve, every moment you choose self-respect over external validation adds to this unshakable foundation. When you master silent confidence, you become the calm center in any storm. Others naturally look to you for stability and direction, not because you're demanding attention, but because your quiet strength provides the security they're seeking. Emotional sovereignty. The fourth Sigma rule is perhaps the most powerful: emotional sovereignty, the ability to maintain complete control over your emotional state regardless of external circumstances. While others are reactive, triggered, and emotionally dependent on their environment, the Sigma male governs his inner world with absolute authority. Emotional sovereignty means that your mood, your peace, and your self-worth are not subject to the opinions, actions, or energy of others. You don't allow someone else's bad day to ruin yours. You don't get triggered by criticism or manipulation attempts. You remain centered and grounded regardless of the chaos around you. This creates immense respect because emotional stability is rare and valuable. When others are losing their composure, you remain calm. When others are reactive, you respond thoughtfully. This stark contrast immediately establishes you as a leader and someone worth following. Developing emotional sovereignty requires understanding that you are not your emotions. You are the observer of your emotions. You can acknowledge feelings without being controlled by them. You can experience disappointment without becoming bitter, face criticism without becoming defensive, or encounter setbacks without losing hope. The Sigma male with emotional sovereignty becomes a pillar of strength that others naturally lean on. His emotional stability creates a safe space where others can be vulnerable, knowing he won't judge, react, or use their emotions against them. Practice this by creating space between trigger and response. When something happens that typically makes you reactive, pause, breathe, and choose your response consciously rather than reacting automatically. Selective vulnerability. The fifth rule challenges conventional masculine wisdom. Selective vulnerability is not weakness, it's strategic strength. The Sigma male understands that showing calculated vulnerability to the right people at the right time creates deeper connections and actually increases respect rather than diminishing it. Most men operate at extremes, either complete emotional walls or inappropriate oversharing. The Sigma male chooses a third path, selective vulnerability. He reveals his struggles, fears, and imperfections strategically to people who have earned that level of access through trust and reciprocity. This creates profound respect because it takes immense strength to be vulnerable on your own terms. When you share a real struggle or admit a mistake in a measured way, it demonstrates confidence in your own worth. You're not seeking pity or validation, you're creating authentic connection. Selective vulnerability also humanizes you without diminishing your authority. It shows that you're real, that you've faced challenges and grown from them. This makes you more relatable and trustworthy while maintaining your strength. The key is timing and reciprocity. Share vulnerabilities with people who have demonstrated loyalty and discretion. Share struggles you've overcome rather than current crises that might undermine confidence in your leadership. Share in ways that contribute to the relationship rather than seeking emotional rescue. When you master selective vulnerability, you become someone others feel safe opening up to because you've modeled that strength, and vulnerability can coexist beautifully. Calculated detachment. The sixth Sigma rule is mastering calculated detachment, the ability to remain emotionally invested in outcomes while psychologically detached from results. This paradoxical approach allows you to pursue goals with passion while maintaining inner peace regardless of what happens. Calculated detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means caring deeply about the process while releasing attachment to specific outcomes. You give maximum effort while remaining flexible about results. This creates a powerful combination of drive and serenity that others find magnetic. When you're detached from outcomes, you make better decisions because you're not clouded by desperation or fear. You negotiate better because you're willing to walk away. You pursue relationships and opportunities from a position of abundance rather than scarcity. This detachment commands respect because it demonstrates mastery over your ego and emotions. Others see that you can pursue something intensely without becoming desperate or needy. This emotional freedom is attractive and inspiring. Practice calculated detachment by setting goals while accepting that the path to achievement may look different than you initially imagined. Focus on controlling your effort, your preparation, and your response to challenges while releasing control over external factors beyond your influence. The Sigma male with calculated detachment becomes like water, flowing around obstacles, adapting to circumstances, but always moving toward his destination with unstoppable persistence. Principled boundaries. The seventh rule establishes that respect flows naturally to men who maintain principled boundaries, clear, consistent standards for how they expect to be treated and what they will and won't accept in their lives. Principled boundaries aren't arbitrary rules or ego-driven demands. They're values-based standards that protect your energy, time, and well-being. They communicate to others that you value yourself and expect that same respect from them. When you maintain principled boundaries, you train others how to treat you. You don't allow disrespect to slide just this once. You don't accept behavior that violates your core values, regardless of who it comes from. This consistency builds immense respect because others know exactly where they stand with you. Boundaries also demonstrate self-respect, which is prerequisite for earning respect from others. When you protect your time, energy, and values, others learn to value these resources as well. When you're willing to say no to things that don't align with your standards, your yes becomes more valuable. The key is communicating boundaries clearly and calmly, then enforcing them consistently without drama or explanation. You don't need to justify your standards. You simply maintain them with quiet strength. Principled boundaries also create safety for others. When people know your limits and can trust that you'll maintain them, they feel secure in the relationship. They don't have to guess where they stand or worry about accidentally crossing lines they don't know exist. Magnetic indifference. The final and perhaps most counterintuitive Sigma rule is magnetic indifference, the ability to be genuinely unattached to others' opinions while remaining warm and engaging. This isn't cold detachment or arrogant dismissal. It's the freedom that comes from internal validation. Magnetic indifference means you're friendly and present with others while being completely unconcerned with their approval or disapproval. You engage authentically without performing for validation. You speak your truth without needing agreement. You show up as yourself without modification for acceptance. This indifference becomes magnetic because it's rare and refreshing. In a world where most people are desperately seeking approval, encountering someone who genuinely doesn't need it is captivating. Your lack of neediness creates space for others to relax and be themselves around you. When you're not seeking anything from others, you ironically become more attractive to them. People want to understand and connect with someone who seems complete within themselves. Your indifference to their opinion makes them more interested in earning your respect. This final rule requires mastering all the previous 7. Only when you've developed strategic solitude, authentic authority, silent confidence, emotional sovereignty, selective vulnerability, calculated detachment, and principled boundaries, can you achieve true magnetic indifference. The Sigma male, who embodies magnetic indifference, becomes like a magnet that attracts without pursuing, influences without forcing, and commands respect simply by being authentically himself. As we reach the end of this transformative journey through the 8 Sigma rules of respect, I want you to pause and truly absorb what you've just learned. These aren't just social strategies. They're a complete rewiring of how you show up in the world. Each rule represents a fundamental shift from the desperate, validation-seeking behavior that plagues most men to the quiet, unshakable confidence that defines the Sigma male, the strategic solitude that teaches you to find power in your own company, the authentic authority that flows from genuine self-knowledge rather than borrowed personas, the silent confidence that speaks louder than any words ever could, the emotional sovereignty that makes you unshakable in the face of chaos, the selective vulnerability that creates deep connections without compromising your strength, the calculated detachment that keeps you focused on what truly matters, the principled boundaries that command respect through clarity, and the magnetic indifference that draws people to you through your very unavailability. Together, these 8 principles form an unbreakable foundation of respect that no one can take from you because it originates from within. This is the difference between men who spend their lives chasing respect and men who naturally attract it. The Sigma male understands that respect isn't something you get, it's something you become, but knowledge without application is worthless. The real transformation begins when you take these principles and integrate them into your daily life. Start with one rule, master it completely, then move to the next. This isn't about overnight transformation. It's about becoming the type of man who commands respect through his very being. Remember, the Sigma path isn't for everyone. It requires a level of self-honesty and commitment that most men aren't willing to embrace. It demands that you walk away from the comfort of the crowd and forge your own trail. But for those who do, the rewards are extraordinary. A life lived on your own terms, respect that flows naturally, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing you've mastered yourself. If this content has opened your eyes to possibilities you didn't know existed, if you're ready to dive deeper into the Sigma mindset and unlock levels of personal power you never thought possible, then subscribe to Official Sigma Male right now. Join a community of men who refuse to settle for mediocrity, who understand that true strength comes from within, and who are committed to becoming the best versions of themselves. The choice is yours. Continue living as just another face in the crowd or step into the rarefied air of the Sigma male. Your future self is waiting.